Hello, in this lesson 3.3 we are going to learn how to solve equations with variables on both sides. So before we start, we need to know some of the key vocabularies we are going to use and able to solve equations with variables on both sides. So first of all is inverse operation. So inverse operation is something like when you're adding 3, the inverse operation of plus 3 is minus 3. So it's basically kind of the opposite of an operation. So this is plus and the other opposite would be minus. So yeah, that's the inverse operations. So same thing as, let's say, negative 3xy. The inverse operation of negative 3xy, we just look at the operation and change it to its opposite operation, which is plus 3xy. So this is kind of hard to explain, but easy to demonstrate. Let's look at an example of how to solve equation with variables on both sides. So let's say we got this example, 5x equals 6 plus 2x. Now, you probably remember from the last lesson, we learned how to solve equations, or how to solve a two-step equation. And in this lesson, you're going to solve equations with variables on both sides. Now, so first of all, when I see this equation, I notice something different from the original two-step equation, is that there are variables on both sides of the equation. So to solve this, we need to get rid of one side with the variables, so we can get rid of either side. So we can get rid of the 2x, or we can get rid of the 5x. So either one would work, but just you can just choose either one. So basically, I wanted to put all the variables on one side of the equation and all the constants on the other side. So let me draw a line to separate all the constants and the variables. So let's say I wanted the variables on the left and I wanted the constants on the right. You don't have to really do that, but I'm just demonstrating you how to use this concept. So to get the variable on the left side of the equation, we need to get rid of the 2x in the right side of the equation because we need to get all the variables on one side and all the constants on the other side. And in this case, I chose the variable side as the left side and the constant side as the right side. So therefore, I am going to get rid of the 2x of this equation by subtracting 2x, which is to use the inverse operation, you probably noticed. So the opposite operation of plus is minus, so I'm just gonna subtract 2x. So however, when I do that to one side of the equation, I have to do that to the other side of the equation to balance it, so that the equation wouldn't be wrong. Now, let's just solve it. 5x minus 2x is 3x. You basically just, when you're subtracting like variables, you subtract the coefficient in front of the variable and add the variable, and then write that variable in. Okay. So we got 3x is equal to 6. We didn't do anything to 6, so we don't have to worry about it. We just leave it like it is. And 2 plus 2x minus 2x is basically 0. 2x minus 2x is 0. So we can say 3x equals 6 as plus 0. 6 plus 0, sorry. But we can also rewrite it as 3x equals 6 because 6 plus 0 is just 6. So after we simplify, we resulted 3x equals 6. Now I am going to use the inverse operation to isolate the variable x. I don't want the 3 in front of the x, so I'm going to use the inverse operation to isolate the variable x by dividing both sides of the equation by 3. So 3x divided by 3 is simply x, because the 3's cancel out. 3 divided by 3 is 1. And 1x is simply just x. So we'll just write 1x for now. So 1x equals 6 divided by 3 is 2, because 2 times 3 is 6. And however, we do not need the 1 in front of the x, because 1x is just 1 times x. Any number times 1 is equal to that number, so we can say x is equal to 2. Therefore, the solution of this equation 5x equals 6 plus 2x is x equals 2. So this is our final solution of the equation. Now, if you wanted to check it to make sure that you got the correct answer, you're going to substitute the value of the variable into the original equation. So I see an x over here, so I'm going to substitute the value of the variable x into the two of the x's inside this equation. So let me substitute. So now I got 5 times x equals 2. So we're going to substitute 2 for x. 5 times 2 equals 6 plus 2 times what's the variable of x? 2. Okay, so I'm going to substitute 2. Now 5 times 2 is 10. We got 10 equals 6 plus 2 times 2 is 4. Remember, we don't do 6 plus 4 first because according to the order of operation, we need to do multiplication first before addition. So now we got 10 equals 6 plus 4. We bring down the 10. 6 plus 4 is simply 10. 10 is equal to 10. Therefore, I know that x equals 2 is a solution of the equation because once we plugged in the value of the variable, the equation makes sense. So therefore, the solution of this equation is x equals 2. Let's try a few more examples so that you would be mastered at this concept. Let's see. We have this equation 5x plus x equals 12 minus x plus x. Now this kind of looks messy. However, it is pretty easy to solve it. All we have to do is to combine like terms. That's what it's messy about. Now we need to find like terms on both sides of the equation. Now let's look at the first side of the equation before the equal sign. 5x plus x. What are the like terms? 5x and x are both like terms. So I'm going to add them together since they're like terms. There's an invisible 1 in front of the x because 1 times x is x. So in front of the x is 1. So 5x plus 1x, we just need to add up the coefficient. It is simply 6x. We bring down the equal sign. Now we need to look at what are the like terms on the second side of the equation. 12 minus x plus x. Here I see minus x and x as my like terms. So I'm going to add them together. Negative x plus x basically cancel it out. It's 0, right? Because a negative of x plus a positive of that x is simply 0. So if you still don't understand, we can demonstrate this as, let's say, negative 2 plus 2. So in the number line, negative 2 might be over here. Let's say negative 2 is over here. When you're adding 2 to the negative 2, you're going to go 2 space. And you're in 0. So any negative number plus the positive number of itself is equal to 0. Just notice that. So therefore, negative x plus x is simply 0. So we bring down the 12. But however, we do not need to write the 0 because 12 plus 0 is just 12. So I'm just going to leave it like that. So I didn't do the variable on one side, constant on the other side because this is pretty clear that we're going to separate this into variable on one side and constant on the other side. But as you solve the equation more frequently, you would basically get mastered at this. So this one is actually not an equation with you need to get variables on one side and constant on the other. Because these, when you combine like terms, you're just left out with variables and constants. So this is actually a pretty easy equation. So let's isolate the variable x by dividing both sides of the equation by 6. 6x divided by 6x, the 6's cancel out. We got x is equal to, I'm going to use another color. So x is equal to 12 divided by 6 is 2. So x equals 2. To substitute it in, to make sure we got this answer correct, we're going to substitute the value of the variable into the equation. Here we got 1x's, 2x's, 3x's, and 4x's. So 5 times x equals 2. So I'm going to say 5 times 2 plus 2, the variable of x, is equal to 12 minus x, which is 2, plus the value of the variable x, which is 2. So now I just have to solve this equation to see if it makes sense, to see if x equals 2 is a solution to the equation. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 equals 12, minus 2 is 10, so let's just write 10, I made a mistake, plus 2, so 10 plus 2 is 12, 10 plus 2 is 12. Since 12 is equal to 12, we know that the equation makes sense. Therefore, x equals 2 is a solution of the equation. So thanks for watching this video, and we will see you later. Bye.